So it's basically like this, this how the algorithm works. And because I I listen to a lot of content creators, and they get mad specifically in the hip hop section of the internet. They get a lot of them get upset because the algorithm is choosing to prop up other people that don't look like them, and they figure, well, I'm talking about the same stuff that Vlad is talking about. Why isn't I'm getting the same numbers as Vlad? Well, here's how it works. You know, here's how it works. Um, Vlad has the upper hand because he doesn't have the barriers that black folks might have. You know, there's nothing there's nothing that the algorithm can do about it because it's a people's choice thing. So some content creators might have um, some content creators based on the color of their skin. You know, they might identify with their own community a little bit more. Plus, black people are not prejudiced against others like others are to black people. Black people are only prejudiced to each other, so they don't know how these things work. You know, so Vlad has the upper hand with the same content that other content creators like Hip Hop Uncensored, um, Art of Dialogue, Urban. I forgot that Urban Politics. So it's not really a Western thing. It's not really Vlad's fault. You know, it's just that Vlad has his own audience of people that look like him that are more susceptible to hear the same thing, but as long as it's coming from him. So that's how that works. You know, it's not anything with the algorithm. It's just that they more susceptible to hear from people that look like them than hearing it from people that don't look like them. Now you might have a few here and there, but the way the algorithm works, it's not it's not against the person that's talking about the same topic, but it's basically ba- based on the people, what the people want to watch. Like, this is why, certain people should have, you know, never go beyond their standards because it's a lot of money to get out here, especially on the internet. It's a lot of money, a lot of dollars to make. If you got the content that people want to hear, you can make a lot of money. You know what I'm saying? But you have to understand how this works. So so when I hear a lot of content creators talk about, well, Vlad is and No Jumper is talking about the same stuff, they're culture vultures because they're talking about the same stuff we're talking about. Well, they're coming from a place where, they can talk about the whole topic and they don't even have to bring up race. You see, that's the barrier that most of us can't we just can't disassociate from talking about race because race is always going to come up at some point in time. You know what I'm saying? Or the powers that be, or the dominant society. Just like with me, you know, I will have let's say I have some of my supporters from the YT community, right? They will stop supporting me the minute I start talking about race. You see, these are issues that the YT content creators does not have to experience. They would never experience these issues because they don't have to bring up race. And if they do bring up race, then it's more susceptible, you know. because they're talking about it from a different aspect, and or sometimes the same aspect. Because one thing I notice about um, the YT people, they can talk about almost anything and it's accepted. When black people start talking about their systematic issues and oppression, the people immediately unsubscribe and start turning the channel because they don't want to hear about it. You know, so when you talk about race, you're pretty much not trying to be monetized. You pretty much is going to be shadow banned because the people don't want to hear about oppression. People don't want to hear about systematic issues. People think all that stuff went away once slavery stopped. You know what I'm saying? So they don't know how systems work. You know, and this is why most people go to the store and just go along to get along with the price hikes. The people could actually stop all of this stuff. All these prices is going up, all the high rent, but people don't want to sacrifice for the greater good. People could turn the water off if they wanted to, but they refuse to because they want to survive. They want to live. So they're going to pay for a different color storage bucket for more money. They're going to pay for different, because I do the Walmart shopping. I see it every day. I see it every day. People are sitting up here going along with it. So if they raise the price, people just pay it. Just look the other way. So the prices will stay the same. That's with anything. That's not just um, with just the system of what my people go through. That's all people. If you let the system do whatever they want, they're going to keep taking advantage. They're going to keep sucking blood out of you. They're going to keep blood sucking on you until you are willing to sacrifice and say enough is enough. I'm not going to pay this price. I'm not going to pay it. Period. I'm going to just not buy anything. I'm just going to stock up on all the stuff that I need. So this way I could afford to my sacrifice with my spending power, because all people, regardless of race, has the ultimate spending power. And if they suspend that spending power, everything will shut down. Everything. But people are not willing to do that because people want what they want. And this is why the world takes advantage of people, especially here in America. Everybody thinks, oh, well, other places are bad. Well, you know what's worse than the other places is when you got things that you could have, but every time you turn around, they keep moving the goalposts. Blame me for what? Can't say that I blame you for what. Yup. I see people waste money every day. I'm in this industry. Right now. I'm working. I'm doing the shopping orders for Walmart. Some of the customers. Let me tell you what they'll do. They will order. Some of the customers. Some of the customers will order something, and then right after they ordered something, a customer behind them will come back around and order something else, the same customer. I remember this week, I went to the same customer house twice. Yeah, but you got people that's making excuses, and it's not a liberal thing or a socialist thing or no communist thing. It's just a common sense thing that we should be able to live. Average people used to be able to live off of an average income. A second job used to be because you wanted extra money. But now a second job is because you need the money to pay your bills because things are so high, you know. But I'm about to get up out of here. Peace out. I'm gonna start doing a lot of content. I'm gonna start talking about what's going on, like giving my suggestions, because I be keeping my stuff to my private thoughts, but I think I'm gonna start letting my private thoughts out to the world. But thanks. I'm gonna be back. I'm just working, so I'm gonna be streaming probably while I'm working, doing a little bit more. Cause if I'm not getting no deliveries, I might as well just go live. But I'm out of here.